everybody, welcome back to Just the Sip, tongasmic wine exploration and adventure. And today I am on location in Healdsburg, California with Allie, Ketcham, and Renee. This is a special edition in honor and in celebration of Mother's Day. So happy Mother's Day for women in the industry that are working moms and producing and owning your own vineyards and wines. So join us as we talk about this Mother's Day celebration. We'll be right back. Everybody, welcome back to Just the Sip. Norma here. And Allie, let's hear first of all, happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Thank
very
you.
much.
Right? I'm going to live like vicariously between you. And tell me about some of that work-life balance that you find at being a working mother, and also the really serious constraints of running a business and full-time work at a winery.
Absolutely. My kids were both raised on this vineyard, which has been just such a wonderful place to grow up and have kids. My late husband, Mark, purchased the property in 2000, and we started, my daughter was born in 2008. So she's been, both kids, my son is 14, my daughter is 16, and they have grown up here, which has been charming. But yeah, it's not easy. Renee's also a mother of 3 kids. Yeah. 2 of them are off in college now, and she has an 11-year-old at home.
Yeah. The work is almost done.
Yeah.
They've all grown up side by side here too. Like,
absolutely,
it's been a magical balancing act and experience for all of our kids, I think.
So I guess growing up here, then they understand like the time constraints and the responsibilities that you have to the vines and to the wine production then as well. So there's a great understanding for them to really incorporate that into their lives.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good.
And they're not.
Go ahead. No.
Oh, I was gonna say, and they're not afraid to get their hands dirty.
Well, that's
They've
fun.
been, they know when it's all hands on deck. They know when it's time to come and help sort grapes, or
they love to get up at 2 in the morning with the harvesters and pretend to help pick and that sort of thing.
Yeah, don't cut your little fingers off.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Hi, thanks for tuning in to Just the Sip. Hey, please take a moment to hit that subscribe and like button. Makes a huge difference. Thank you. And stay tuned, because I have an exclusive Just the Sip discount code that I want to share with you that gives you 20% off your purchases of Ketcham Estate wines. Stay tuned. Cheers.
Now, did you find that you needed to augment child care services then?
Well, I'm lucky that my vineyard manager and his wife, Roberto and Margarita, live on the property down below, and it was like having a built-in nanny to look after the kids. So they've been just as instrumental as well in helping to run the whole program.
Right. And I assume like during the fall, it's a community thing. I mean, all of this, the wine area comes together. Everyone's in that same process
Absolutely.
of getting the grapes off the vines, and then production.
Exactly. It's very much a collaboration.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. Now tell me about the beginnings, because you're a Michigander.
I am.
Also.
Oh my
Cheers
gosh.
to that.
Cheers to Michigan.
Green.
I know, right? Go blue. I grew up in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and went to school in Ohio at Denison University, and following college with my lit degree, I went and I hiked the Appalachian Trail, where I met a boy who invited me to run away with him, and we moved to Sausalito, California. So that was 1999 that I came to California, and we lived on a boat, and it was wonderful until it wasn't. And at the time I was working as a nanny in Mill Valley, and one of the mothers I was nannying for set me up with Mark Ketcham. So Mark had recently acquired the property. He bought the property and built this home on it, and we moved in together in 2007. And then shortly thereafter I had Savannah. So that's sort of how I came to be here, without much knowledge in wine, except I knew that I enjoyed good wine and good dining, and Mark Ketcham was all about all of that.
Which usually go together.
They totally do. And at the time I met him, Michael Brown was his winemaker from Costa Brown, and so Michael Brown made our 05, 06, and 07 wines, and I met Mark when they had just bottled the 5s, I believe. And so I remember trying the wine and just thinking, oh my gosh, Mark, this is the best wine I've ever had. And I meant that at the time, and I still do. I was blown away by the flavors of the Pinot Noir. And I was in my early 30s at the time, so I had, you know, a very, on a nanny budget, you know, a very, I knew good wine from bad wine, and I'd had experienced it, but the Pinot was somewhat new to me, and the way that a glass of wine could be just such a beautiful bouquet of flavors and aromas, and so he knew the way to my heart.
Nice. So Mark was the gateway.
He was, yeah, he was, absolutely,
That's
absolutely.
awesome. We all need some of those in our lives.
Absolutely.
And Renee, you're native, right?
Yeah, I grew up here in Healdsburg, and so I spent all my time growing up here in Healdsburg. I moved away for a while and smart enough to come back, and then through acquaintances and a Facebook post, I was introduced to Mark and Allie, and we've been doing this together since
14 years now.
Fantastic. Cheers to
So,
that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So tell us a little about the Viognier we're drinking.
So this was, we've always done Pinot, and we decided that it was time we should do a white offering as well. So the vineyard it's 11 acres, and it's all Pinot Noir. And at the time when Michael Brown was our winemaker, Costa Brown always purchased grapes from other vineyards. They didn't have any of their own fruit. Okay. So that's sort of how we got started. We were trading the wine for the winemaking, the juice for the winemaking. Yep. And Michael introduced us to this Viognier vineyard, which it's kind of where closer to Sebastopol area, so it's still Russian River, and it's
also owned by a wonderful lady named Lisa.
Yes. And so a woman-owned vineyard, small vineyard of small production, and we typically split the crop with another winery. And so Michael introduced us to this vineyard, and we've been buying the fruit from them ever since. So it's been a really wonderful, long-standing contract. And there's not a lot of Viognier out there, but we're super proud of this Viognier.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, and I didn't mean to cut you off, because I think a lot of people aren't familiar with the varietal. Exactly. So you want to talk a little bit about what differentiates Viognier from some of the more traditional, say, Chardonnay or Sauvignon Blanc that people are real familiar with?
Well, I love the elegance of this, and the tropical notes. So upon smelling it, it's very much like pineapple, mango, some honeysuckle, green apple. And then there's a little bit of cream on it that balances it out. So it's not like a Chardonnay that would be like maybe oaky and buttery, or a Sauv Blanc, which I find to be more acidic. This is just kind of a very elegant blending of wonderful flavors.
Yeah, it's very nicely balanced.
Thank you.
But it's also, it's got, like you said, it's kind of fresh with those flavors that have going on for it, right?
Yeah.
And I could drink this year round. It kind of bums me out when I hear people go, "Whoa, white wine is just for the summer."
No,
right? That's a hot weather wine, and I'm like, no, I'm loving this right now. Are you kidding?
I think it's great for like a winter soup.
Right.
Or a starter course.
Thanksgiving
dinner. True.
It's nice because it has enough body. It's made in neutral oak wine barrels, so it has enough body to really hold up to an actual meal, but also it's not afraid to be sipped by the pool either. So
yeah, awesome. Now let's talk a little bit about your all-female leadership team. And so you as the proprietor, and then your winemaker is also
Tami Collins, absolutely,
right? And Renee yourself. So tell me how you find this. I would just think back on my time in the military and everything, and when we had that energy together. It was just magical.
Yeah.
So tell me how you're finding this.
Yeah, we're all very good friends. Yeah. Every year we do a wine cruise, and Tami joins us on that as well. So and she's a mother as well. We kind of all have kids around the same age and family. And I've known Tami. She was one of my very first friends when I moved to Healdsburg in 2007. And so she's just been great. So I feel like there's a friendship, there's a general respect, and also an understanding. Like Renee was just in Montana, moving her son out. So we kind of are understanding with each other's schedules, and and working around what life events happen, and still manage to keep the business
That's
up
a
and running.
great advantage to have that perspective and empathy for each other.
Exactly.
What's the biggest challenges you find, if any?
Well,
On the daily, it's really just, figuring out all the moving parts and pieces.
Yeah.
I mean, our kids have
Yeah.
crazy schedules. It's like we need to work, we have stuff we need to do, and
Yeah.
we don't want to tell our kids no, but sometimes we have to say, hey, we've got
there's work that
got
has to be
business to
done.
do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bills that need to be paid,
Uh-huh.
and all of that. So
Sure.
it's just trying to keep the balance sheet up, and from a financial standpoint,
Yeah.
it's challenging in this business.
Okay.
And
Yeah, and I think even more so lately, I know the wine industry has really taken some hard hits
It
in the
has,
last
yeah.
year.
It's been
Not just with the competing different products that are now flooding the market with
Right.
ready to drinks and everything, but I feel like, I don't know, as an American culture, we really haven't combined that food aspect as much. I
Right.
still see people go out to the bar and just order a glass of wine, and I'm like, yeah, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
But let's pair it with something.
Yeah,
Like, just
exactly.
get olives or something, right? Like an olive.
Yeah, exactly,
Right.
exactly. Yeah,
So-
and I feel like that's, you read that wine is sort of losing its luster for other cocktails or canned drinks or whatever people are drinking, or they're not. But there is this beauty of sitting down to a meal and having the pairing correct, and having this with the first course, and then going on to the second course and having a lovely Pinot that matches the meat or the risotto or whatever it is. And I don't know if in America we don't appreciate those moments as much,
Right.
but
The artistic qualities that you can just create from a nice bottle of wine
Right.
and that expression.
Yeah, and bringing out the flavors of both the food and the wine at the same time.
yeah,
In one meal or just one pairing even.
and having them complement each other.
Exactly.
Yeah, and there's
Exactly.
such fun to that.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought up the Pinot. So let's move on to the Pinot.
Okay.
Put the Viognier down. And I know Pinot was Pinot Noir, just to be, because there's a lot of Pinots.
Yeah, sure.
Was Mark's passion.
Yeah.
Do you know why?
Well, he was into collecting the French Burgundies.
Okay.
So he got into that. He was very much a Renaissance man, and he had a computer software company back in the day, and then that sort of became obsolete as computer software runs its course. And then he got into vintage cars, so he was into like old Ferraris, and really became kind of a historian, and he would broker cars, and then I think that just kind of morphed into like, he liked watches and cigars and, just kind of that connoisseur sort of lifestyle. So he was into the French Burgundies, which led to the Russian River Pinot Noir. So when he was searching for this property, he put soil samples down, or he took soil samples from hundreds of vineyards, and found that this little pocket where we have a creek that runs into the Russian River, and being on the valley floor, the richness in the soil,
Oh, the minerality.
and the minerality.
Yeah.
And at the time when he bought the property, it was half Chardonnay and half Pinot, and he was like, ABC, anything but Chard. So ripped up the Chard, put in the Pinot, and I believe he was friends with Joe Rocchioli and Bert Williamson. And they were saying that if you're going to plant a vineyard, these are the clones that you want.
Okay.
So
They guided him into that
They
direction.
guided him in the
Yeah.
direction of what clones to put in the vineyard, and to make the best Pinot. So we have 5 different Pinot clones. And for the novices, I like to kind of describe a Pinot, or like a clone like a tomato, where we have the Roma, we have a cherry, we have an heirloom. They're all tomatoes, but they all have their own sort of distinct characteristics and flavors.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we were planting the vineyard, he put in, the clones are 777, 115, 667, Pomard 4, and 828. And those are that probably doesn't mean anything to a lot of people, but if people are, Pinophiles, then it does mean a lot. And certain like we were able to make 4 different blends from those 5 different clones.
Yeah.
And the first blend, the first Pinot that we're drinking right now is, we call it our Ketcham Vineyard, and it's made from the very oldest block of grapes, which were planted in the early 1970s.
Wow.
So the grapes themselves are over 50 years old, and the clone is Pomard 4, which was one of the original clones that came from the Burgundy region of France to our vineyard. And the vines themselves, they're old and craggy, and they don't produce a lot of fruit, but the
teeny tiny berries,
but the concentration
Small and
and the
flavor you get out of
richness
them,
and the flavor is
Yeah.
irreplaceable.
Yeah.
So it really, we're reticent to replant because I feel like it's such a special thing that we have down in this vineyard.
Yeah, I do too, and that really comes out. I mean, I already snuck a sip while you were
Yeah,
talking,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm like, wow. So if people want to buy your wines, can they just buy them offline? Do they have to join the wine club?
No, we do have a wine club, and we ship 3 times a year.
Okay.
And we're delighted to have members. And you get a 15% discount on all of our wines anytime you buy with the wine club. But we have a website, ketchamestate.com, which has all of our wines, current releases, and library. We'll also often put up specials as well. So
Yeah, I saw the Mark birthday special. and I
Yes,
was like, I'm
yes.
leaving here with a couple bottles because these
Yeah.
are very special.
Yeah, we
At
like to-
amazing prices.
Yeah, we like to give good deals. Sometimes we'll have just we'll discover like this 2016 Ketcham Vineyard that we've been drinking recently.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. It's just off the hook. But we had a lot of, in storage, and let's get it out there. Let's
Yeah.
mark it down. So
Right.
we're running a special of $45 a bottle on that right now. So it's a really good deal.
Wonderful wine.
It's a really, really wonderful wine.
Yeah.
And the beauty of how the wines have been made and Tammy's hand in it is our wines really stand up with age.
Yeah.
They
and
sure
they
do.
just like continue to just like open up and turn into these beautiful wines. And so it's fun for us when we pull out an older bottle and we're like, oh, this is amazing. Let's.
I try to tell it. This is a teaching and educational show, and I try to impart what I've learned is that the earlier the ripage. So say 2 years ago, right? Because you bottled it and it's aged.
Yeah.
You're going to get that fruity flavor, and
Yes.
as it sits in the bottle, it's going to become more refined, right?
Yeah.
And bring out some other real hidden flavors that you're not going to get in those earlier years. So,
Absolutely.
and on that, how long would you think this would be on the shelf? I mean,
We're still opening.
You said 16, which is
Yes, I mean the 16 was amazing. We had some
Yeah,
years now.
I recently opened some 2010, and they were just killer.
Yeah.
Like the acid, like right now, and this isn't super acidic, but you lose that acid and it becomes juicier over time. But they're still wonderful.
But I think
Yeah.
really like the magic that happens in the cellar in the end is what kind of. And between the fruit that's coming in and the cellar magic, like
The
it just
barrels
it allows the wines to have such good ageability. It's
right.
fantastic.
All the winemaker tools. I'm always like so
Yeah.
blown away by some of the
Absolutely.
magic that they can just use and impart
Yeah.
to make the wine what it is. And then it may not just be that year, but then as it ages too, and you're still tasting that magic come out bottle year after year.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Absolutely.
Back to the mother theme.
Uh-huh.
This might be a tricky one,
Okay.
so I'll let you think on it for a bit. Best takeaway advice that you picked up from your mother, and what you hope to impart on your children as a mother, succinctly.
Well, something I feel that something that that Allie and I do well together that I really know I picked up from my own mother, and hence she picked up from her mother, is just always having a sense of adventure. I think that really it carries us through. Allie and I love adventuring together, and I think that it's something when you find something you're passionate about and can find the balance of enjoying it. It's really a pretty special.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
My mom, one of her sayings was, "Patience, my dear, patience." And I feel like as a winemaker, it's all about patience.
Yeah.
It's about finding the right time to pick your grapes, and then the patience of waiting 2 years or 3 years until you can actually drink them.
Right.
There's so much to be said for winemaking and patience, and also adventure.
Yeah. That's awesome. And what do you want to pass down to your children?
wow.
Besides the adventure, because who doesn't want to pass
wow.
adventure down
Wow.
to their offspring?
Well, a sense of hard work and
Gratification.
gratification from working hard and from setting goals and finding where your hard work leads you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Same?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you guys have put in the hard work, so I think that's very easy for them to pick up on. Let's see. Tell me more about the cruising. How did you guys get into this? And I think it's phenomenal. I was like, wait a minute, this one's coming up in September.
I know.
You're in my backyard.
Yeah, we're going to Alaska.
I know.
I would love to have you join us. Another winery, we had a friend who invited us to join them. And this I was like, was that 16, I think? 2016. And he was like, this is the greatest. And we've always had a vibrant wine club and people that, we become very, very dear friends with our customers. And like this next week, I'm going to San Diego and meeting a few friends down there who are hosting me. And then a few weeks later, I'm down in Florida and South Carolina, traveling, doing wine dinners at country clubs and people's homes. And it's in the wine cruise. It really, like when you have people who come on the wine cruise, especially year after year, like we'll have the same guests. They become like family. Yeah. So to us, it combines like the perfect, we're getting our adventure in, we're seeing the world, and we're being able to interact and just spend some great time with the people who love our wines.
And we're traveling to amazing wine regions, exploring.
Not so much Alaska, but we do love wine there.
Well, yes, but and we're bringing wine with us. We're doing wine seminars, so it's kind of we're.
So there's an educational component to it.
We're teaching people about our wines.
And they pair we've historically done Oceania cruises, which is the food is spectacular. Jacques Pepin, though he's not on the ship, he does all the menus. So. And then we'll work with the chefs there and choose for usually about a 5-course meal and which wine's going to go with each course. And that's...
And the Alaska cruise, Chef John Ash will be on board, so they'll be doing some hands-on cooking courses. So it's just it's a fun partnership for us.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah,
sounds amazing. What a way to get in there and get your wine out there.
It is, and you're getting a new audience.
Right. Yeah. Do you find that some of your wine club members also join the cruise too?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And that bond just keeps growing.
It does. Yeah. And they'll bring friends, and we had one group, they brought 20 friends last time. Wow. We had like 140 people on our last cruise. That was from, where did we go? Venice to Rome via various, like Greece and Malta and not Montenegro, but Croatia. Yeah, some great little spots, but it was neat. It was really, really fun.
For sake of time, I'm going to move on to the third glass here, which is another Pinot. And we're going into, so tell me what differentiates this from that now.
Well, this is Allie's Reserve, and we've been making this wine, I think 2012 is our first vintage. Yeah. And this was something Mark, I wouldn't want to name a wine after myself, but Mark was like, let's do a wine for you. And he wanted to make it like our premium wine. So this is kind of gets a little bit into the process of making wine for us. Each vintage will get about 40 barrels worth of wine out of our crop. So we segregate those into the different clonal types, our 5 different clonal types, and then the barrels. So we'll use a combination. It's all French oak, but from various coopers. And the coopers know that, okay, if it's a 777 clone, then you want to use a Mercury barrel. That's just an example, but various coopers. And we'll use a combination of new oak we've used once before, or what we consider neutral oak. So we have basically 40 barrels that all taste differently that go into the winemaking. So when it's time to blend, which is usually about 18 months to 2 years after harvest, we sit at my dining room table with Tami and Renee, and oftentimes we'll have visitors come.
So if you want to join us ever.
Yeah, if you want to join us, absolutely. And we go through and we'll try. First thing is we have to try and take notes on each barrel.
Wow.
And
it's a lot of work. This is hard work.
It is, and it takes us a number of days. So we're getting, this barrel tastes like black cherry, this barrel, you know, whatever it is, write notes on the texture, on what the barrel makes you feel like. And then the color, the acidity, is it too hot, is it too, you know, very good descriptors. And then we'll go through those in potentially like star or the exceptional one. So then what we're trying to do is get to Allie's Reserve, which is this particular wine, and it's an 8-barrel blend. So our goal is to go from 40 barrels to 8 barrels and make the very best blend that we possibly can out of that particular vintage. So this past year it took us to trial R, starting with A, B, C, all the way to R, until we finally nailed it.
It sounds like a party. I definitely want to be at. No, there's a lot of skill. I mean, I half joke about this, but you have to, that skill of being able to smell it, taste it, and be able to articulate what you're getting. And you can refine that, right? Absolutely. If you smell it and you're like, it smells like wine. Okay, now take a step back.
Right.
What about that? Do you smell the blackberries? Do you smell the black cherries? And you know there's a difference, and depending where you grew up and what you're used to, you're gonna get different things out of that. So having a panel do this, you'll get maybe 8 different opinions in that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
And then it's like you hit that eureka moment where it's like, oh, this is it. This is it. And so that's when we get to Allie's Reserve, when we're like, okay, this is the best we can do for this vintage. And what we're going for is not only the taste, but the texture. And the way, when you first get a whiff of it, it kind of makes your mouth water and you kind of salivate for it. And then when you taste it, how does the taste kind of match what I'm expecting it, or does it blow that away? And then the finish, how long does it linger in my mouth after I sip it? And we're just looking for the best that we can do for that.
5 stars.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
And you hit it.
Thank you.
Like, this is amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Wow, and what an honor to have it named after.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what a legacy, but also an honor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, do you get many visitors? You guys are a boutique winery.
Yeah,
so
we're boutique.
So if people are just driving around and they're like, I want to go to Ketcham Estate.
Yeah, absolutely.
They call you, get on the website?
Yeah.
Call or
there's a website, and there you can email through the website.
Is this your tasting room?
Yeah, we do them. If it's nice, we'll do it out on the back deck. If it's not so nice, we'll do it on the dining room table.
Awesome.
And so we get people from all over, and it's such a treat to meet people from various parts of the world, really.
Well, to me, that speaks to the close bond that you have with your members, because to me, this is your home.
Yeah.
I feel like your family now.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And it's like, yeah, why wouldn't I want to be a member of this? Like, of course. Yeah, I was just in Allie's house. We shared wine together, of course.
Absolutely.
I mean, that is unique for wineries, and I hate to say the wineries are getting bigger and bigger as they consolidate and buy out.
Yeah, exactly. They become very corporate.
Right, and having that nice small feel, like a family-owned and run and female operated winery is still available. You gotta look for it.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about, totally loaded question, wine manipulation? And though it's the key word, right? Manipulation.
We can share that we ran trials and we didn't like it.
Oh, okay.
So,
and when I say manipulation, go back and watch. Sam Barron talks about adding it's legal in the U.S. to add 250 plus additives to wine, right?
Oh, wow.
Right.
Yeah. We
So
don't.
you could.
We don't do that.
And some people, I mean, it's amazing what you can do to change the taste, like fish eyes, right? No, it's crazy, the list.
Oh, wow.
All kinds of things.
Yeah. So that is not on my radar.
No, and more commonly is like if someone in the back end of a Pinot house, more commonly you'll find someone might have a Pinot Noir that they want to add a little Petit Syrah to or something like that to like bolster it up. We've had some vintages that have been very challenging, and Mark was a big fan of big, bold Pinots, and so his direction to us was big, bold, and so he wanted us to try what would happen if we added Petit Syrah to it, and in the end, it just changed the balance too much, and
so just to be
we
clear,
stay
you
pure.
guys aren't putting additives
No,
in.
no,
But you're
no
blending.
additives,
We
no.
just blend the barrels.
Yes.
But yeah, we don't
You're not
add any
adding different
concentrations.
No. So when we're talking about the different flavors that we're tasting, we're not adding strawberry or blackberry, no essences. It's
no mega purple.
No, it's
No,
just
nothing.
it's we're just
This
presenting
is
what
simple.
we get from the
Yeah.
vineyard,
And
and
you know, I think most people hope that's the case, but I
Yeah.
think as the education comes out, American wines are typically, I hate to say the bigger ones, right?
Yeah.
Because it's the money.
Yeah.
And to manipulate the wine and have it taste the same year after year, you have to manipulate it.
Sure.
But that's not what we're looking for. here,
Yeah,
right?
and our wine doesn't take this the same year after year. I
Right.
mean, I think because we make every blend as well. Like the first wine we had, the Old Pomard 4, that's primarily those Old Pomard 4 clones. But year after year, you don't know, the 2017 tastes different than the 2019 just because of the growing year and other components to it.
That's
And
why there's a date on it.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
like your little timestamp. This is
Exactly.
the vintage.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This is the
And
vintage.
you know, and at the end of the day, like we're farming sustainably. We're certified sustainable, but we really are farming organically. I mean, we live here. We eat everything off the property here. We're
Yeah.
in the vineyard with our kids
Yeah.
and our pets.
Yeah.
So
We'd
And use of
rather have-
pesticides have really come down since like
Yeah,
the
thankfully.
70s and stuff,
Thankfully,
right?
I
Yeah.
know. We'd rather have weeds in the vineyard than Roundup.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Or ladybugs.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Right. I always like to sort of finish off with because this is for beginners and novice wine drinkers, give them your best advice. Although I did love the Pinot and the varietals, that was a great analogy. But if you have somebody who's just new to wine tasting and they stumble in here and they're like, I like wine, but I don't know much about it. What
Yeah.
is your advice to them to continue on that journey?
Trust your palate, know what you like, and it doesn't have to be a pretentious endeavor. I think that wine is simple. Does it taste good? If it tastes good, drink it.
To you, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
It tastes good to
absolutely.
you.
Yeah, absolutely. But I've had people, and it's always an honor to have people come to my vineyard and tell me that this is the first good wine I've ever had. You know, because it's like if you're used to drinking cheap cab that's like 2-year vintage and it just tastes like sawdust or there's too much abrasion to it. Ours are much more refined and easier to drink.
Right. You said elegantly. Love that.
Yeah.
adjective, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. What's the next step for Ketcham Estate?
Oh boy.
Or have you like 5 years down the road? Let's just go with 5, not like 20.
Gosh, you know, we just hope to still be here and still doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds
I
like
mean,
you're.
we're small, and so I think that's to our advantage. We're we've scaled back. We're roughly 1,000 cases, and it feels manageable. And I think that if we can get through this next little blip on the map, and we definitely have passion for what we do. So
And I'm glad you brought this up, Renee. I'm used to a much lighter in color and taste Pinot, and I think most people are, but I'm so glad that Mark was like for the big, bold, because
Yeah.
that varietal is not, like you said, that you can have that spectrum of Pinots.
Absolutely, and maybe people who are more used to like the Oregon or Washington, and nothing against the Willamette Valley, but I feel like the Russian River fruit is much more concentrated than the more northern because of the sun and our growing climate.
Yeah, and like you said, the soil, the minerality.
Yeah,
yeah, and this particular vineyard, really just produces just those qualities where you get the beauty of the Russian River Valley fruit, but then we also just get some really bold flavors that come out of it.
Definitely. If I didn't know this was a Pinot Noir, I'd be like, oh, this is really great cab or something.
Yeah, yeah.
It just has that feel to it and that mouthfeel, right?
Yeah.
And I love it.
Texture. Thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you.
So back to wrapping it up. Thank you again. It's been my honor and pleasure.
Oh.
Happy Mother's Day.
Oh,
to
happy
all.
Mother's Day
Thank you.
for moms
Thank you.
and moms
Yeah,
and
cheers
everyone.
to moms.
Cheers
Yep.
to moms. You keep it going.
And grandmas.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
channeling my
We don't
grandma
survive
with
without
that shot today. So thank you, Pat. And come back next month and we're going to have a whole fun another topic. Cheers to you.
Cheers.